Do we think it's probably enough time?
Sure, why not?
Hello and welcome to Strange Happy Hour. I'm one of your hosts, Brent, the Jester Head Matt Caff. Along to my left, the concentrating one,
the Dispaycher, Mark Clover.
And to my right,
Handsome John.
we originally had a Stadia game night planned. However, there'll be a wonderful little blooper excerpt at the end of this that you can watch our failed attempts to get it working on.
Oh, no. That's going to be the beginning of the episode.
Oh, I'm sorry. It'll be at the beginning. So.
You have already seen it.
Yeah, it was not great, as you can tell. But here we are playing Spelunky because the Dispatcher himself has never played it. I'm not very good at it. And of course, Handsome John loves this game. Because it's Thanksgiving, the news has been a little light this week. We decided to go ahead and go with a play session rather than a full-on podcast. As you can tell, sitting here drinking our cranberry vodka because it's festive.
This is going to end well.
Nope, they're dead. All right, John, take the controller. Because I still have to run the beginning of the show. We're not even a couple minutes in. Playing the wonderful Spelunky, which is made by Darren Yu. Spelunky 2 should be coming out soon, hopefully.
Yeah,
and we're going to see some more cool stuff. However, it is not the only cool thing out there in the world. It's not even the most important thing out there in the world because there are other things that we have to discuss. Nope, good. Proud of you because there is no important shit this week. We're actually playing it. But I do have a couple of news stories that I do want to dive into, including Sony has a brand new patent that for the PS5, possibly, that may point to what they're trying to do with the PlayStation 5. So it looks like they're actually going to include flags that help players not only create user-generated content while they're recording, but also put flags in places so that other viewers could come and replay those areas, right? So you could, as let's say us making this video on a PS4, because that's what we're playing on, could have a cool session of Spelunky. Maybe we get all the way close to hell, flag it, save it, and then have it available to our friends so that they could try it themselves, which I thought was really interesting. Also, the fact that they're diving further, I hate the jump boots, into content creation is what it seems like, which makes sense. I mean, we're seeing not only the streaming completely taking off, but other mediums are trying to take onto this. Even apps like TikTok, it's all user-generated content. Like that's this generation.
Well, yeah, I mean, between YouTube and everything else.
So it's not surprising. I'm curious to see how this can be utilized because I think that's one of the most appealing things that I saw from Stadia, right? The ability to have a save state that you could sit there and share. Yeah, let people kind of jump in at that moment.
That's where the live switch between the browser, for example, and the Chromecast, which are the only two devices you can use right now. But the idea is if you wanted to hot swap to your phone or something like that, you were playing at home or whatever, you want to get on the bus or whatever and switch to your phone or go walk, you can do that.
Yep, absolutely.
It's kind of jank right now. I'll say it's not the most functional thing currently, but...
What are you doing?
Doing things.
Okay. John gets into Spelunky. He's into Spelunky.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I like the idea.
Yeah, I think it's cool. I think it is also going to show what Sony's kind of leaning on, which is similar to the PlayStation 4, right? They got rid of the select and start buttons for a share button explicitly. I use that share button more often than I ever thought I would when they announced it, to be honest with you. So them leaning heavier into that kind of user-generated content makes me actually incredibly excited to see what else we can get out of it, right?
Which actually reminds me, that's actually what this little button is supposed
to be. It's a screenshot, right?
There's a dedicated screenshot button on the Stadia controllers anyway that's supposed to be, if I remember right, you're supposed to have dual purpose of screenshotting and setting up for recording too, so...
Okay, cool.
Similar principle.
Yeah, the Switch right now has a screenshot button, but there's no way to record footage. And nor do I think Nintendo will, unfortunately. They're just not in that mindset. Ooh, that's a stumble.
They're also not in the hardware to do so.
Yeah, right. I mean,
like the hardware can kind of run. Like if you're running something light like this,
probably, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, depending on what it's got in it and whether or not it can handle codecs to record with that.
Well, and I can tell you right now, like I'm playing Pokemon Sword, which is one of their tentpole games. And when I connect to online to play with people in the wild, it's a rough experience. So I cannot imagine them having the ability to like record while you're playing.
Yeah.
I think they're just not there yet, unfortunately.
No.
But that's what Elgato capture cards are for. Moving on.
You say that, except we just had an issue with the Elgato capture card and Chromecast due to a HD content protection. Anyway.
Anyways, this is more of an announcement than anything we really need to talk about, but Saints Row 5 is to be revealed in 2020. That is literally what the developer has said. We've got more coming. It'll be out in 2020. So Saints Row fans, get excited.
Get excited.
Please be excited.
Dr. Stone.
It also looks like Star Trek is back on track with a 4th film moving forward. The Legion creator, which Legion is a television show on FX involving the X-Men franchise, but not really, involving Professor Xavier's son. Fun fact. Noah Hawley is that creator. He's going to write and direct the next sequel. So the one thing that has me peaked about this is that Legion is a very bizarre series.
Yeah.
It is not meant to be. You also did not pass a controller when you beat levels, sir.
Oh, I thought you meant like the whole 4 section levels.
okay.
My bad.
Well, that's what I was thinking, but
Yeah, I got it. He's a weird dude. If anybody's watched Legion, which I have not been fortunate enough to do so just yet, it literally involves, like in season 1, fighting the main antagonist is a dance-off in their minds, because that's how that works.
Oh, cool.
So with Star Trek being where it is, you know, the 3rd movie came out to not a whole lot of fanfare. I don't think people really hated it, but also it really didn't make the sales as far as we know. I think going in a different direction, trying to, that worked. Yep, cool. You might get this faster than I thought. Differentiating themselves honestly from Star Wars, right? I think that it's a smart move. Obviously he's talented, and FX has actually garnered a lot of respect with how Legion has gone. So I'm curious myself to see where they're going. Apparently,
how many seasons is it in right now?
Legion is ended with their 3rd season, so it's done, which is why he's on board to direct and all that jazz. It appears that we don't know if the cast will return. I think that's also a big factor, like Zachary Quinto and Chris Pine. Like, they really kind of carried those films, as Zoe Saldana as well.
Yeah.
So I think if they're not back, it may be a little bit harder for them to kind of push forward, but we shall see. I need someone to kindly look down at my phone, because I got it right here. Oh yeah, Activision Blizzard's CEO says that their games are not meant to be political, nor do they want them to be. This is Bobby Kotick, if you do not know who he is. This is after the debacle of Hong Kong and Blizzard and everything they've gone through.
Blizzard versus literally everyone else.
Correct.
Ballsy.
Now, I understand why he would say this. I think a majority of developers don't want to put themselves in a position. Okay. I pissed off the shopkeeper.
It is never good.
You like that save, John?
Yeah, boy.
That was good. Nobody really wants to put. Yep, okay, there you go. That's for you. Nobody wants to put themselves in that position where they have to fight amongst their user base, because that's what it comes down to, right?
Well, it was split up, and they didn't even have a fight in the game, and I understand, but
At the same time,
yeah, it's the way you're in. You chose sides by doing what you did.
Well, not only that, you chose to go into a Chinese market space. Like, you didn't have to. I understand there's lots of money in it. It makes sense for why you chose to.
Oh my god.
That's a trap, buddy.
Fastest.
No, you get to go get
monkey
it.
in the world.
Just go get it.
That was really bad timing. Oh my god.
But they made that decision. They went into China, and you have to deal with those ramifications. Now, does that mean you have to curtail yourself to both sides or one side or the other? No, you set rules and you abide those rules.
Yeah.
That's fine.
And that's what they're trying to do. But at the same time, when they're like, we're heading down definitive fast punishments, it's like, okay.
Yeah.
Let's not act like the authoritarian you want money from.
And we've gone over it over and over again. But, like, hitting up the casters and punishing them for what one of the people on the team did.
The authoritarian machine.
It's just ridiculous. So I do find it very funny that Bobby Kotick mentioned this when we had a brand new Call of Duty release that has all kinds of like anti-terrorism, anti-war messages in the story.
Oh yeah.
And has already gotten criticism for having white phosphorus as a kill streak for the multiplayer stuff. Like, it's one of those things where you only add fire to the flames when you make statements like that. You're going to be political. Everything is political today, to some degree. It's going to offend someone, it's going to hurt someone's feelings, or someone's not going to like what you do. So rather than trying to hide behind it, just be honest. Like, this is the direction we're going. This is what we're
just
going.
accept it. Like, if you came out right and said,
nope, don't do that.
Yep.
Throw the rock downwards.
So you can actually, yep.
It's all good, bro.
I love John's like, throw the rock down, then you drop it. John was like, oh! But anyway, you were saying.
If you're upfront at least about it, then everyone understands where you stand.
Exactly.
Like if they had been outright and said, look, we just don't support this. Like, instead of just lashing out and trying to respond the way that they did, of just sort of like, nope, this is how we're handling this. This is how we're gonna show you that we don't like this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Just be upfront.
Come on, Bobby. You're just upset because you're gonna make more money this year? I don't get it.
I know, right?
Moving on. It looks like a Joker sequel may or may not be in the works. Right now, the movie is the second best-selling DC film of all time. The only thing that's beating it currently is Aquaman, and if any of the early reports are to believe, well, Aquaman's a surprisingly good movie.
It made $1 billion?
It made a lot of money.
Oh my god.
It's a fun film. It's like Spider-Man.
No, I enjoyed the movie.
Oh, nice! Woo.
No, what?
Yeah, you did well.
Yeah?
You got a good dodge it.
That was a straight up 1-2. I don't even.
The spikes take 5 to health. It's
A spider
you.
shoots me into the spikes. How does that even happen to me?
So enemies can be in the vases, in case you didn't know.
Oh, I mean, you had talked about that before, but I was like, oh, I haven't seen that before, so it's not a big deal. No.
Damn.
So what John's doing is what we typically do, which is you grab a vase and you throw it. Never hit him. Unless you're doing that. Anyways, yeah, so it's looking like it's going to be making lots of money for DC, for Warner Brothers, which is fairly unsurprising. I have said before to you two, I might have said on the show, I thought it was a good movie. I don't think it's as good as some people believe it to be, which is fine. That's my personal opinion. But a sequel would be really interesting. This movie's set in the 1980s. It's supposed to be the origin of Joker. That's kind of the whole point. And how you're going to get past that is going to be interesting, because is this going to be... I really don't want to talk too much without spoiling the film. So it's going to have to go in a different direction, right? So I would be curious myself if that's the case. Joaquin killed it. I think the director and the writer, they killed it. So seeing more of this isn't a bad thing. But yeah, it's weird that Aquaman and the Joker film, like the Joker I expected, but Aquaman beat Batman v Superman in sales.
Yeah.
They're bad movies. They're bad movies, but it's just, if you were to like look at a globe, right, and be like, hey, which of these DC supervillains? That would, yeah, you.
Oh!
You got bold. You got bold. But if you were to like 10 years earlier be like, hey, by the way, Aquaman's gonna be the best-selling film, it's gonna be Batman and Superman, people would call you crazy.
Yeah, well, because like Aquaman was good. I don't think it was that great.
No, it's a fun popcorn flick.
Yeah.
It is. So it's James Wan, who is the creator of Saw and Fast and Furious.
That makes sense.
Like,
Saw was a great movie. It's one of my favorite movies,
So,
actually.
can I say though, for Aquaman, I don't know why I couldn't help myself. I got way too distracted by trying to see how many scenes he actually shows his lazy eye.
Really?
At
this level?
yeah, you got a little screwed there. A little screwed. That seems a little unfair to Jason Momoa. You do whatever entertains you.
I was gonna it's not like I was trying to, not like it was intentionally like.
I feel like we were like, all right,
it was just
we're
sort of
gonna
like
take
some of these
shots every time we see
some of these scenes. Yeah, it was like, that could easily be a drinking game. Yeah.
Moving on. It looks like Amazon has a brand new game strategy. So they have a strategy where they want to do a 3-prong approach. And I'm going to have to open this article so I can make sure I get it. This is a Business Insider article. Everything we are talking about is located in the top shelf section of the description. You have all of our sources as well. It is floating ominously above John because he's about to die. He has 1 health. So it looks like they want to take on everybody in general. So they're taking it on by having Amazon Game Studios, where they will release their own unique games. They're going to do their own streaming service in which they're going to take on Stadia and make it comparable to PlayStation and Sony and Xbox. And then they want to focus on Twitch and esports as their 3
Which one
approach.
Twitch makes sense since it's there.
They own Twitch. It makes sense. I think that's a good spot. I do think it's interesting that they want to do the game streaming. I have said for a while now, I think, like, while I think game streaming is cool, tonight was a perfect example of why it's just not there yet.
Well, to me, to me, the issue we had tonight was Google kind of releasing a half-baked product compared to what they sold, I guess. Or it's an okay, like we said last week, it's an early access,
Yeah.
but they didn't label it that way.
Yeah.
Correct.
It's just sad because everybody's super excited for what they wanted out of it, and it's like Hideo Kojima game that everybody didn't get, you know?
Yeah.
If you're talking about Silent Hills, we're all very sad about it.
Well, more like the.
I don't want a boomerang. Get out of here.
Boomerangs are dangerous, by the way.
Yes.
If it bounces and then hits you, it hits you instead of just coming back to you. Which.
Oh! Dirty.
Whoops.
Get out of here.
But
I find it interesting
well, speaking of
because
which, he's thinking about doing a horror game.
he is thinking about doing a horror game, but we don't need to divert just yet because I just want to get these on Amazon for a second.
No, I don't care. I was segueing, dude.
I agree with that. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting, especially considering what PT was terrifying and Silent Hills looked like it was gonna be amazing.
I don't think I could have played PT.
I
watched a run review of it. I was like, nope.
Yep, I cannot play any horror game he's gonna make, which will make me really sad.
That's true. I could do horror. I can't really do horror.
I can watch it.
Like, I don't really do horror like at all.
Yeah.
The Slender Man game got me.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
like it's a jump scare. Like it's not even that great of a game. It's just it's
really
a
not.
jump scare. I can't stand it. So
I saw a GIF the other night of a little girl. I'm gonna pause it for a second. A little girl who's in the forest, and she's like pointing at a forest, and all you see is her face, and she holds up this empty frame, and it shows like her mother or her grandmother just like getting angry with her and fighting her in the frame, and then she picks up a rock, and then she drops the frame, and the little girl turns around, and it's just this blood splatter on the back of her head, as if she's a ghost. And for like the past 3 nights, I'm like, man, I can't go in my closet alone now.
Is
I
it
gotta
like
turn on the lights.
the Sixth Sense kind of like?
Yeah. But anyways, back to Amazon. Amazon, like game streaming, I feel like is kind of a not as something they should do because they still have other fuck.
Yeah. Did you dirty? Oh.
They have other avenues to finish. Like they've had Amazon Game Studio now for over a
Sacrifice her.
I will. Over 2 years now, and it has done nothing. Like they have a brand new game engine, and by brand new I mean it's also 2 years old, called Lumberjack, which is free to play, but nobody utilizes it for anything. Like they have things they can work on that I think should be the bigger focus.
They're not really promoting it all that much either.
They're not, but that's I guess that's kind of my point. Like, why would you want to go ahead and try and do a streaming service on top of that?
So here's-
focus on Twitch, focus on your game studio, and go from there.
yeah, I was gonna say here's how well that was. I didn't even know they had their own engine.
I know most people don't.
No.
I'm a nerd.
We know.
Grab it, friends. Everybody's excited. What's gonna happen?
Ha! Oh yeah, there's a fucking enemy in there. Look at that shit. But it'll be interesting to see them compete. I feel like Amazon is constantly playing catch up with a lot of their devices. They're not bad devices. You know, I have an Alexa at the house. I have.
Their Fire Sticks are terrible.
Really, you think so? I have a Fire Stick in the bedroom. And I'm fine with it.
Now, girlfriend's got a Fire Stick. Well, I guess it's. No, who was it? It wasn't her. Maybe it was my buddy.
Thought I saw Joe. I was like,
Had a Fire Stick, but the problem is the performance was so bad that it couldn't even buffer the video because it would run out of memory and crash the app.
oh man.
Oh, that's awful.
Now that's a development issue, but why would you release a device with that crap of hardware to be able to handle that? Like it's literally supposed to be able to handle video buffering, which is a very memory intensive thing by all intents. Like
Yeah, I agree. So we will see what they do. Here to find it on the list because I'm doing better than I thought I would. Normally I'd die by now. So Amazon somewhere in the middle.
Game strategy. Then we got Final Fantasy coming up.
Yes, so Final Fantasy
5.
16 is
Yes.
in development for PS5, which means it's probably in development for everything. Square Enix has gone pretty much agnostic at this point with a majority of these different games they're doing. However, I am incredibly excited for this. As a Final Fantasy nerd, for one,
Yeah.
I've been super excited about what they have available for a long time. John, I'm about to get super nervous and choke, so you might have to take this controller here in a minute.
We got a good run going right now.
We do, I know, it makes me nervous. That's how we screwed up. But needless to say, the next installment, it's not surprising.
You see?
Oh!
Thought you saw it.
Nope! I thought you were saying no to the freaking spider.
Nope.
Spider, the
Snake. Asp.
snake. See, this is what happens. I get nervous and I choke. I don't know what to do.
like that.
No!
Oh
But more Final Fantasy is always good for a majority of people who enjoy the franchise, right? 15 was not perfect. I feel like they learned a lot of lessons. We're seeing that reflected in...
Good point. Okay, that's
yeah.
already done. We're good. Bomb, throw it upwards. Oh, too late. Run!
Yep, there you go. There you go. We were able to pass that pretty quick. We saw that with what seems to be going on with Final Fantasy VII Remake. I have a lot of faith in what they can do, and I'm very excited to see what they have coming.
They
Especially
still
on
got new
hardware.
bosses and everything else, so it's going to be really cool. That it's almost a final... You lucky.
I wasn't even paying attention to that, yeah.
But with that, and they said they're already working in development on the second.
Yeah. So it also appears to... Look at that!
Great place.
That was good. That was good.
He's like watching, watching like the nerd in a movie, like trying to avoid like all these arrows, and he's just freaking out, running around. Somehow lives.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, that is part of life.
Don't do it.
Yep.
Throw it up.
Oh, what? What? No! Oh my god.
Kill this balls.
This is what I'm the comedic relief. That's what I'm here for.
Valve dropped a bomb on everyone this week.
Yeah.
A bomb we knew was coming because they announced it last week. We actually talked about it on the show slightly. But now we have full-on details about Half-Life Alyx.
Which is not a Half-Life 3, as we know that is going to be a intermittent sequel from 1 to 2.
It's going to take place between 1 and 2. Technically, that 1 and 2 equals 3. I'm just putting that
Never.
Valve is an
Don't lie to us
interesting
like that.
company because they tend to not make games unless they feel there's a reason to make said games. Dodged a bullet and took the fall.
Hey,
It's
it's
fine,
a
yeah.
one hit. That's cool.
Yeah. The big issue, or I guess not issue, the big thing they do is they tend to want to show innovation, and with this VR onslaught, I feel like that's their main drive right now.
Yeah,
Go to the right.
but they
Go to
need,
the right.
they want a drive to sell their hardware, and I get it. And it's just like PlayStation 4s. You need games to sell them. Like,
Yes, exactly.
so it makes total sense, and if anything, that just shows that there's going to be a real reason for you to want to buy them, assuming that this is successful.
Well, apparently what they're showing too is that they're really trying. So if you grab that girl and you go back to the door, it'll be health. They're also trying to showcase the capabilities of their new controllers and what they're doing, similar to what you're saying. But it looks like it's telling a whole story too about this character who appears in
this is a
Half-Life 2.
real game, but I mean,
Yeah.
it's like 7 or 8 hours or something like that.
Yeah, it's supposed to be super solid, but I mean,
I think it said upwards of 12 hours. Actually,
some of the stuff I saw them do where it is showing, again, the Valve Index, right, where you can show finger movement. So it is like you're sticking your hand in here because your hand has gloves on it and it's reading it. There was a sequence where they had to do an unlock and like the gadget to unlock is on your hand. So you stick your hand in the lock and you have to like cover yourself by leaning over and firing with your left hand while your right hand is stuck. And that means you're stuck in place. You can't move. So you're moving back and forth to try and figure it out. There's a lot of cool things that are going on there. Ammo being on shelves. Like I think one of the coolest things I saw is there was a stealth area where the character controlling Alex is moving through. They were out of ammo, brushed aside some objects on a shelf, found a shell, loaded it in the gun, and then as they were loading it, the person they were looking for him found him and they fired. Like it was like cool sequences that could be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Totally get you immersed.
Again, Valve really does try to push the envelope when they release these titles. It's one of the reasons why they don't release games often. So I think that alone has everyone excited for this game.
Yeah.
And then again, of course, it's the newest Half-Life we've had in over 12 years, right? But we will see what comes of it next year. This is early 2020. I believe it's going to be sometime in March, but I don't know if they have a solid release date just yet. Oh yeah, March.
I was listening to a podcast and they have it right. Like I just haven't really been like enthralled with 2019 in general. And I feel like 2020 is really going to be nice.
Dude,
then forward.
You're missing out because you're not playing Death Stranding. But we can talk about that later. Because actually I do want to touch on what we're playing at the end of this. Don't go left.
There's nowhere to go left.
There are rumors apparently that Resident Evil 3 Remake is not only in the works, has been in the works for a while, and has a release date of 2020. Now I want to point out that Resident Evil 2 Remake came out this year in 2019.
Yeah.
So the fact that they have 3 ready that quickly means they had a team working on it probably around the same time.
How'd they keep it quiet?
That's a big question because 2 has been rumored for a while. Now, granted, some of the times rumors stem from the fact that people want these things to happen. Some of the times they actually come from notable sources, right?
Yeah.
So
a lot of times rumors are just like soft plays by companies to, not have to make any hard.
Yep. And so 3 coming out that quickly, I think, would not only be strong because 2 was well received. One of the best reviewed games of 2019.
It's definitely a lot of people's Gotti.
Yeah. So that's unsurprising. Of course, they kind of played
Not
around.
worth it.
Nope.
They played around with the concept of an enemy following you around with Mr. X in 2. In 3, you actually have Nemesis who always follows you around, which was a. Oh, did you? Yeah. My heart sank.
Just run! You don't have to kill everything. You're not Terminator.
I mean, you could be the Terminator. You killed everything.
The cowards always win.
Yep. Snake. But Nemesis follows you legitimately around that entire game. So the fact that they're including Nemesis in here is actually kind of exciting. I would love to see what it looks like. I am not a Resident Evil person, as we talked about. Spoopy scares me.
I played Resident Evil with Mikey.
Yeah. I actually was a little surprised you didn't try 2, because 2 looked like it could be up your alley.
I'm not against it.
What?
The bats, man.
Kobe!
I threw it over him was the problem.
Don't worry.
Nice. Needless to say, people who were excited about that get excited. This actually worked out really well, because this is the topic you want to talk about.
Yeah.
Cybertruck is officially been announced by the old Musker. That's what I call him. He's like a
The
Musker.
good old
good old
PlayStation 1
Tomb Raider
tits.
graphics, yeah.
The reason he mentions, me specifically with this one is I'm a. Whoa, that was risky. Wow. I am a Musky Musk fanboy.
That you are.
I love how you just use her.
You actually,
yeah,
she's
she's
alive, yeah.
to just throw her around.
Yep.
Sure.
John likes to throw him around.
Yeah.
With consent.
Oh, like I'm tiny, man.
With consent.
No, but I'm kind of a Musk fanboy, as like a lot of people in this house are. So I'm super excited for Cybertruck after seeing.
Oh, well done, sir. Well done.
I'm super excited to see this just because this is like Elon's or this is Tesla's, entry into the truck market. And the way that Dylan and I were talking about this earlier is
He may have been on the show once or twice. We don't know.
once or twice.
Yeah.
Faded memory.
It's some old title, I think, whatever. But no, he and I were. He put a very interesting perspective on it. I agree wholeheartedly. If you want to get into the truck space, the problem is that you get used to just doing the same things all the time.
Being Ford?
Not just Ford, but like Chevy. This is the first time Chevy's really shaken up their truck. This is also the first time Dodge is really shaken up their truck. So,
That's big later.
so the fact that Elon decided to go with something completely different says a lot about the fact that he understands the market. Because people who are Ford people are going to continue to buy F-150s. People who are Dodge people are going to continue to buy Ram 1500s. People who are Chevy people are going to buy Silverado 1500s. So you need something that's different, something that's going to shake up the market space there, which scares some people, which is where my concern was at first.
Yeah.
Because, if you guys haven't seen the striking image,
I was going to say, I feel like we should describe what it looks like, because it looks like a low
103 polygons.
103 polygons, a low render of the Warthog from Halo.
Yeah.
Without a gun.
With stainless. Was it stainless?
It's
stainless steel.
No one said it can't have a gun.
No one did say it can't have a gun. You are correct.
Stainless steel on the sides. It's got really high walls. Think best way I could describe it is a Chevy Avalanche with
But instead of going part way,
with
it
their
goes
side pylons, they go all the way back.
Yeah.
Instead of only coming down a little way down the bed. Comes with 4 doors, but it's a very striking image of a line that comes up. That's a really solid line coming from the front all the way up to the top of the roof line, and then a slope that goes all the way, a straight line from that point out on the center of the top of the roof, basically over top of the driver, all the way down to the end of the bed. It's very, very weird to look at.
Now, there's some cool things that I would not describe this as a hot vehicle, personally. I don't think it looks very good.
No.
However, the attachments for the back, I think, are super solid. There's a camping one. There's a couple of other things that are
From
really
a
cool.
functionality perspective, this is bar none the best
Yeah.
you can get.
The ramp is really cool because the tailgate comes down and actually slides a ramp out of it, which is pretty great.
And to add to that, like it's the they've got full air ride suspension anyway to raise and lower the vehicle, which includes it's on-the-fly adjustable dampening and on-the-fly adjustable ride height. So if you're on the highway, it'll lower the truck anyway to get better aerodynamics, anyway for better economy.
Yep.
For better mileage anyway with the battery or distance with the battery. And then if you're in off-road scenarios, it'll raise the truck up higher so you have better clearance. If you're trying to load for example, the Tesla ATV in the back of it, the truck will actually raise the front end, lower the back end, and then give you the tailgate to be able to pull out and give a ramp without having to hook something else extra up like you do with the majority of trucks that are out there. And for this, there are 3 different offerings. There's a single motor, there's a dual motor, and a tri-motor.
And the tri-motor was ordered the most, the dual motor was ordered the second most, and the single motor was ordered the least.
Tri-motor and dual motor were pretty even at about like 46 and 44%, I think, or something like that.
The last number I saw was the tri-motor was ordered the most.
Yeah, the single motor was only ordered, I think, for 17% of the orders, or 7% of the orders, something along those lines. It was relatively small by comparison. That's interesting that, okay, you know what, you can just,
Prostitution is legal in caves.
Correct. Fun fact, John is not a fan of spiders.
Not much.
Yeah, you're fucked, man. Run fast. Anyways,
so the tri-motor was ordered the most, single motor was ordered the least by a long shot, and the dual motor was kind of in the middle there. The dual motor ships 2021, or is slated to ship 2021. The tri-motor is slated to ship 2022, and I think the single motor actually goes with dual motor in that one.
Okay.
Oh wow. For reference here, Dylan and I have both pre-ordered.
Yep. Only costs $100 pre-order. You can cancel anytime.
$100 pre-order. You can cancel, and it's refundable, so you can get it back anytime you want. That kind of thing. Now the big statement was that they had the highest number of pre-orders. Actually, it's the highest pre-ordered vehicle in history.
Yeah.
At I think it was 146,000 within 24 hours.
Yeah, and now it's well over 200,000.
Yep. He Musk put out a statement a little while ago that it was over 200,000, which means if you just put that in perspective, he's just made $20 million from pre-orders.
Yeah. Now, $20 million if everyone goes through their pre-order, because that is the key. Again, it's only $100 and people can cancel anytime. But that being said, still good publicity, still good for them.
Oh, 100%. Now that puts like people like me in a position where I can prep myself in
100%.
2 years.
It's very consumer friendly because if something were to happen, right? Worst case scenario, you lose your job, you can now cancel that. That's an economic
$100 back and you're good to go.
Yeah, you can put away. So
that's
it's a big old frog. It's not a boss. There's only one boss in this game, and actually there's technically 2, I guess.
Bad froggy.
Anyways, Cybertruck, everyone's very excited about it. I would be very curious if we could have maybe a miniature poll in the comments of anyone who is interested or not interested in it, because the comments appear around us in a swirl of despair, because that's all this world is anymore.
To be fair, we used to play this exclusively
on Vita. It's the best place to play.
I'm super excited for Cybertruck. I'm very excited for the pre-order. Dylan's also very excited for his pre-order, so we'll...
Combined, you can take your 206 polygons and get the fuck out of here. Moving on! It looks like we have some sales numbers for Pokemon Sword and Shield. Despite all the controversy and hate or love this game has gotten, it's sold exceptionally well. In the first 3 days in Japan, it sold 1.36 million units. And overall, it has sold 6 million units within the first week. That is the fastest selling Switch game of all time currently. It is not the fastest selling Pokemon game, which I do think is important for context.
Interesting.
However, it does appear that this game is doing incredibly well and will continue to do well. I'm not surprised because it is incredible despite its flaws. And to say it doesn't have flaws would be a lie, because it does.
Did it just spit out a baby?
It does, yeah. It produces baby. That's how baby frogs are made, man. They just spit them out. Yeah, boingy boots and spike boots? Is that how that works?
I'm trying to find...
Okay. Yeah, I know what you're looking for. It's up there, dude, yeah.
What are the spike boots for?
Spike boots allow you to have traction on ice, and also when you stomp on enemies, you kill them.
Neat.
God, playing on a PS4 controller is awkward.
You got this, fam. Anyways, the last topic in our news bracket, of course known as house selection, we have Google tied to union busting organization. So they were actually outed by calendar entries, which I thought was hilarious.
Well, it wasn't even just calendar entries. It was
I have one bomb short.
It was a plugin for their, or an extension for Chrome, anyway, I guess, for the employees. Where part of the feature, I guess, of it was that it would show, or it would flag calendar entries with more than 100 attendees in it.
Okay.
So I guess this meeting, whatever it was, had more than 100 attendees and got lit up.
That's
so then it
hilarious.
Once it showed up as a flag, someone else is like, hey, what's going on here? I don't know if you have all of this or not, but IRI is the name of the company anyway that Google is accused of working with. They did not deny working with them.
Not good.
What?
Monkeys can jump on you and screw you up.
Anyway.
Yeah, you're done. You're done, son. You're done.
I was like, get away from me, monkey.
So
no, monkey.
IRI is a company, I forget the acronym, but IRI is a company that's known and actually prides itself on the fact that it's done union busting before. I forget who they said they've worked with before, but like they've done a relatively good job so far of like preventing unions. And I'm a big advocate for unions. If you guys haven't, listened to me talk about this before, I'm a big advocate for unions. I think they're good. They're good at helping protect the employee.
You're not American.
Since the company is there to protect itself. So the idea is they came in anyway to try to help Google bust the unions that were trying to form amongst its employees. And obviously unions are bad for employees or bad for companies if they're good for employees. That's just unfortunately the way that it works.
Yeah, there's really no way
balance.
around it.
Mm-hmm. So
it's like the Force, man.
This just got ousted pretty quick because, and they refused. The hard part was that they really refused to talk about the fact that they had talked with them, or that a calendar invite showed up, and they flat out denied the that's what the calendar invite revealed.
Yeah.
They were saying no, that's not what this was about. We like it because technically, it didn't explicitly say that they were meeting with IRI. I don't remember what the point was that they said that they were meeting with IRI or that, like, I guess there was talks about that kind of thing, or there was a rumor of it. But then all of a sudden this calendar invite shows up anyway in an audit, or shows up as a flag, and everyone needs to talk about it now. Because if they're talking about breaking up unions, well, that's kind of a problem if the employees are trying to form one.
Correct.
Which is their very right to do so if they want, Wow.
Yeah.
Too long.
I was listening to you. Honestly.
Damn.
Oh, I see. It's my fault. Oh, no.
Drop onto the ledge if you can aim it right. You'll bypass it before getting shot. Nope. You gotta grab the ledge part. Forgot that part.
But no, I mean,
but for them, for the employees anyway, it's a big deal because the employees are extremely concerned that if they're going to try to bring in a union busting company to do this, especially one that's been successful, well, that's going to be a problem for them anyway. And realistically, now that
I was trying to make you know what I'm doing.
Now that they know about it anyway, hello.
You're good. We're gonna do that. We're gonna give that to him because you're still talking.
All right, it's fine. So now that the employees know about it, it's going to be kind of a problem for them, or they're going to be a little bit more resilient towards it. If they see propaganda coming out anyway like that defies unions and that kind of thing and tries to break up new employees who would want to join that union, that kind of thing, because unions are very voluntary. Now, granted,
unions are voluntary, but they only work if everyone joins, or at least the majority of employees.
Yeah.
Well, so the interesting part there was that, and being part of a workers' union back when I was in Florida, you didn't have to join the union and pay dues. You could if you wanted to. It was completely optional. The only you still got the benefits of the union contract because that was negotiated for you as an employee for your title. But The difference is you lost a lot of the protections of, you know, oh, well, I can get an appointed rep, I can do this, I can do that. If I need to file a claim or something like that, well, I can do that through the union, and they'll work with the company directly on it, whatever.
If you're fighting with the company, it's not just you fighting with the company, it's the entire union fighting with the company, which is much more of a threat to the reps.
Yeah. Which it puts you as much more of a threat anyway whenever you're trying to defend your own case, especially if you believe that something's been done wrongfully or has been done in violation of the contract. I mean, first off, they have nothing to say if they've signed the contract, agreed to it, and then suddenly violated it. You know, you can definitely fight them on that. Which you get them for wrongful termination in a lot of cases in that respect. But
spider drop.
I was curious about how that happened. But I'm an advocate for this kind of thing. I'm glad to hear that the Google employees are looking to form a union, because I feel like there's been a lot of issues, particularly that Google's had in the recent years. The biggest one being the repeat offense of mishandling of sexual misconduct.
Yeah.
Like
which we've covered.
Yep.
That's straight up been the biggest issue they've had twice, not just once, but twice.
Well, and literally before this show, we were actually watching on Twitter where a couple of employees were fired because they were advocating for Google to not work with the CBP. See, that's what
Customs and Border Protection.
Yeah.
Because part of that was the drone AI that they were trying to build out, wasn't it?
Yep. So, I mean, it's very obvious that I am right there with you. Their employees do need some form of protection. The fact that you made that shot not only work, but it worked in your favor to the point where it didn't hit you.
Yeah, there's definitely some finagling, so no promises.
That's called John's flying out of his ass right now. Don't worry.
But I'm glad to see that the employees are trying to form a union, because I think they're good for them.
I agree.
Google, I think, is now trying to cover its own tracks. It sounds like they're trying to cover their own bases here, saying, "Oh no, we weren't in cahoots with some major union busting company, because why would we do that?" Yeah.
So,
well, the funny part is the official responses never listed the name of the company that they were not working, quote unquote, not working with. They said, we haven't been working with this organization, whatever, that kind of thing. There's no proof of this, blah blah blah, whatever. And apparently when they were confronted about the email, they said, no, that's not what that was about. That was something else.
It was totally not the same thing that we were just talking about.
So
here's the thing: no one looks to make a union when the company is doing what they're supposed to.
Right. Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Oh, if the company's taking care of their employees, I mean, wow.
Scared.
If the company's taking care of its employees, the employees have no purpose in getting a union together. But we've seen Google have enough missteps at this point that it's been a problem for them.
So I completely understand why they wouldn't want to.
Oh, 100%.
I do understand why Google would not want to, but at the same time,
but they don't really have much of a say in it.
Exactly, right?
They've pushed their employees to this point where they feel like they need a union, so they're going to try to form one.
And they're not alone, right? I mean, we've talked about how Amazon has their own anti-union propaganda that they push on employees all the time. Like, this is not unheard of.
Walmart is
Walmart's terrible about
Walmart literally, so being an ex-Walmart employee, Walmart literally has a video they show you at the beginning of your employment that says that, unions are bad. All they do is take your money and they don't help you at all, that kind of thing. What do you get out of it, really?
Yeah.
For your money, that kind of thing. It's like, well, the funny part was that was just after I had quit my job, I think. No, it was just before. So it was funny to me after the fact, but like I had joined a union after.
Ooh, Johnny's got a shotgun.
Wow.
Shotguns are terrifying, though.
When you have partners? Yes. You should never have a shotgun when you have a partner, because they die.
Friendly fire is always on in this game.
Neat. But I think if Google wants to try to fight their own employees on this, I think it's going to bite them in the butt harder than it's going to ever bite their employees.
I agree 100%.
I mean, any Google employee who says, yeah, I left Google, or I left Google and tries to apply to another company anywhere in Silicon Valley, you're going to get a job.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
Like, Silicon Valley is one of the few places where the marketplace for, like tech jobs anyway is pretty high. So realistically, you can get whatever you want out there, and if you say you're an ex-Google employee, you're gonna be fine. Google, on the other hand, well, if you develop a bad rep, nobody wants to go to your company anyway.
Yep.
Well, so then you're gonna lose a lot of your best people.
Well, and Google is the shit right now, right? People, like you're saying, anybody who's hired there, they are guaranteed to get a job somewhere else. But that only lasts for so long. It's just like anything else. Like everything is volatile and fluctuating.
Yep.
So it won't take too much for you to lose that capability. So.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I'm interested to see how they respond to this, how they continue to, or if they continue to say anything about it, considering the kind of nightmare they're going to have to deal with, you know, to get to this, or to get through this. So, if they come out and just say, yep, look, this was what was happening, you know, that kind of thing, like this is what we were doing, you know, or if they just decide to move on with it, then they should be fine.
I agree.
But unfortunately, if they continue to pursue any kind of union busting at this point, everyone's going to come down on it. It's going to be a public story again.
Yep.
It's going to be another backlash that they're going to have to deal with.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
So
Why does it keep doing?
We'll see how they handle
and
this.
it keeps doing it on its own.
I'm pretty sure the joystick's broken.
Yeah, because
Use the D-pad if you can.
oh yeah, that's a good point. I wonder if I shoot in there if he's gonna get angry.
You're fine. Yeah.
Cool.
So I mean, I'm interested to see how they handle this. If there's anything that they decide to come up with. You and I are on the same page. It's like blow that motherfucker up. Overkill.
Yes.
So I mean, if they decide to union bust at this point, we're gonna hear about it.
100%. Yeah.
I mean, we'll know about it because people will be shouting it from the rooftops. Like it's gonna be very well known thing. So. We'll keep an eye on that, and I guess we'll follow up if anything else develops from it. As it stands, nothing has happened.
Nothing yet. No.
So
A bad statement. That's about it.
a bad statement. Yep. And from this point, basically all we can do is sit and wait to see what happens. The Google employees are going to be the ones to deal with this on the back end, so they're the ones who are going to have to figure it out. Oof. Hard oof.
Yeah, you're man. That was good. That was good. This is the perfect time, though.
The problem
because
is it keeps looking right, and I'm like, stop it.
it is time for last call.
Last call.
Ding, ding. I still need to get a sound effect for that, Bell, because it really sucks not having you here. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Of course, we do have our wonderful special guest that the dispatcher prepared for us.
Yep.
Vodka Cranberrys. Delicioso.
It is Thanksgiving weekend or Thanksgiving week, so you know, cranberries are only
Festive.
appropriate for it.
I also love gel cranberry sauce and ate an entire can to myself the other night.
You did?
I like cranberry sauce.
I
That's my
love it
part.
so much. 'Cause
It's the canned cranberries.
it's gotta be the gel can. I don't want berries in my cranberry sauce. You put
Yeah.
berries in my cranberry sauce. I'm murdering you.
I feel like that's the only way I've ever seen
He has a
cranberry
berry
sauce
texture
is,
thing.
like
It's
literally
weird.
in the shape of the can.
Oh, so it was
That's
hilarious.
Tamp it, like we cut open both ends or whatever, and then just
Yeah, we had a Friendsgiving on Saturday, and the hostess couldn't get to come out, so I walked over and was just like, shoot, there it is. There's the whole
You
can.
didn't
I
have
don't
to
have
take
to
the
eat
whole
this.
bottom out. You just need to stab it.
Yep.
oh yeah, to let air.
Build a little
Yeah,
pressure.
that makes sense. Yeah.
Release the pressure. Of course, our
the Kraken.
Kraken as well. Our streamer of the month is still Resilience. This is the last week we will talk about him ever. Just kidding. This is the last week we will pimp him. He has been, of course, streaming some Apex Legends, some Call of Duty.
I'm excited for the end of month video where he is going to have to do his own video.
Oh, yes, yes.
Because honestly,
Akibab
did a great
Did a
job
great
of
job.
it, and he's going to have to find some way to step it up. I mean, that's just what's going to happen.
We'll find out.
I'm just saying,
will.
resilience, step it up.
Step it up. Hashtag step it up. We do, of course, also have our wonderful Michael Tumbleweed Kepley, who is playing through Pokemon Sword and Shield on YouTube. He's streaming it every time, which is why he's so far behind the two of us. Actually, just me. I think you and I. What'd you mean, are you on?
3. I beat 3.
Okay, he's just about to start 3, so you guys are in the same spot.
Well, I can't help it. I don't have that much free time. I can't play Pokemon at work.
You're right, you can't. I can. Just kidding, I can't. But yes, he is streaming. The link is in the description. It's floating above me, much like a Corviknight would in the wild area of Pokemon Sword and Shield. We do have our RSS feed if you want to hear our nonsense and not have to watch this wonderful gameplay. That is completely possible and available to you because
Check out
this
our
is
site,
wonderfully bad.
happyhour.strangegaming.com.
In the description. Because I put it there. Just for you, buddy.
Just for you.
And of course, we do have our wonderful, wonderful Discord. Now, for the fun part.
Okay. Here we go.
Rather than a question of the week this week, we've decided to play said Pokemon game we discussed earlier.
Who's that?
So
Pokemon!
Handsome John and I are going to swap spots real quick like.
Yeah.
Just scooch.
So explain to them the rules.
I shall. I'll explain to all of you the rules because neither of you know what the rules are either. So, for this game, I have put together 5 questions. They are multiple choice questions. I will give you the question and then your options, and you have to tell me which is the correct name for the Pokemon. It's a small descriptor. Each descriptor is a little bit different. Okay?
Okay.
Question number 1. This fire bug type Pokemon evolves into the titular Volcarona at level 70 and is known as the Torch Pokemon. Is it A, Scorchoroach, B, Larvesta, or C, Centipede? I had a really fun time making up fake Pokemon names.
I bet you did.
Oh, this is great that you. I didn't know you came up.
That's what I told him to do. C.
What is your answer?
See, I don't know this.
You don't,
See,
he doesn't know what I
don't either.
It's your best
So I'm
guess.
gonna go with B, Larvesta. Because Scorchoroach just sounds too.
So
Yeah,
I'm
it sounds
gonna
weird.
tally mental points and we'll go from there because I don't want to tell you the right answer.
Okay.
Number 2. This pure water type evolves into the well-known Greninja, one of the few pocket monsters that has made its debut
It's
in
one of Brent's
Super
favorite
Smash
Pokemon.
Brothers.
Greninja.
Is it A, Froakie, B, Sopadope, or C, Subbles?
So dope.
What was it?
What was that?
A, Froakie, B, Sopadope, or C, Subbles?
There's 2 S's. So I'm thinking he's trying to throw us off with the S's.
I'm gonna go with C.
I'm gonna go with Subbles, yeah.
Okay, alright. 3. This bird Pokemon, known as the dancing Pokemon, has 4 different subtypes, including Psychic, Electric, Fire, and Ghost. Somewhere along the way, it erased my
4
words.
subtypes?
Yes.
Wow.
It is found throughout the Alola region. Is it A, Owlurina, B, Oricorio, or C, Maracarina? Maracarina, thank you. I can't remember.
Oh, so are you laughing because you like?
Maracarina.
Okay. List those names.
Owlurina, A, B, Oricorio, C, Maracarina.
Oricorio. Which to me is
Maracarina. I'm gonna go with it.
I'm gonna say Oricorio just sounds too much like Oreo, but I'm gonna go.
It's like you see Doris. Oricorio.
Number 4. This monkey Pokemon, known as the Longtail Pokemon, is one of a handful of pocket monsters that gained a new evolution known as Ambipom in Generation 4. Is it A, Apom, B, Ambikey, or C, Aping? Aiping.
This is a tough game.
A, Apom, B, Ambikey, C, Aping.
I'm gonna go with Amkey.
Apom.
Number 5. This dragon flying type Pokemon is designed after a cloud and requires 400 Swablu candy to evolve into in Pokemon Go. It also gained a Mega Evolution
Swablu candy.
that changes its typing from Dragon Flying to Dragon Flary. Is it A, Altaria, B, Stratorus, or C, Ceragon? All these are named after clouds.
Yeah, I know.
So I just want you to know that. Yeah.
Stratagon and
Ceragon.
Ceragon. Stratorus or Ceragon?
Alright, so
And
what
then
are the
Altaria is A,
Altaria.
B is Stratorus, C is Ceragon.
I'm going with Ceragon.
I want to agree with you just because the
Stratorus
Dragon
to me
type.
is literally Stratus and Cirrus mixed together, so I'm just not gonna. I don't want to go with the two
I'm
of them
gonna go
mixed
with
together.
Stratagon too, just
I'm gonna-
because it sounds like a dragon Pokemon.
Ceragon?
Actually, you know what? Just for poops and giggles, I'll go with Altaria or whatever the other one was.
Okay. So number 1, the
Okay,
bug
right.
fire type Pokemon that evolves into the titular Volcarona at level 70 is Larvesta.
Yes.
Yes, you got one correct.
Oh.
Yes. I was laughing very hard. Number 2, the pure water type Pokemon that evolves into Greninja is not Subbles, it is Froakie.
Oh,
See, it was the eyeball one.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. Number 3, the bird Pokemon known as the dancing Pokemon is Oricorio.
Yeah,
You did
man,
really
you
well
were
on that
killing
one.
it.
You did really well on that one. Number 4, the monkey Pokemon known as the long-tailed Pokemon that evolves into Ambipom is indeed Apom. And number 5,
I won.
the dragon flying type Pokemon that takes 400 Swablu candy to evolve to is indeed Altaria.
Yeah, I got 2.
But I felt really
tied.
good about
Yeah.
the fact that I did not make a tie maker. I did not take a
Oh man!
whatsoever.
All right, you can do one on the top of your head.
I know, I gotta
Let's
think
go.
about this. The problem is it took me a long time to come up with these names.
I'm about to say, you did a good job. You did a good job.
While we vamp here for a moment, I'm sure I can.
I looked at her and Altaria. I was like, you know what? That just sounds like a Pokemon name. I'll go with it. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Oh,
A
man.
dragon fairy type. So what is it weak to then? Steel?
It would be weak to ice, fighting, and bug.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's not as.
There's so many different types now.
There are 17 total types.
A lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it takes a minute.
Shit. You want to go through it? Let's go. Fire, water, bug, grass, electric, and then you have dragon, fairy, ghost, fighting, normal.
What's Earth?
Normal.
Oh, it's
Oh,
just
ground.
Ground.
And then rock. Mm-hmm. So there's a difference there.
Electric.
I already said that one.
Okay. Yours is fire and ice.
Okay,
Oh, didn't say ice. Good call.
here's the tiebreaker.
Okay, let's do this.
This fairy Pokemon is the box art Pokemon for Pokemon X, which released on the 3DS. It is a fairy typing and resembles a deer. Is it A, Vulpan, B, Xerneas, or C, Hexnia?
Oh my god.
A, Vulpan, B, Xerneas, C, Hexnia.
Unbelievable, man.
Hexnia.
I don't even. It will be a tie for now. I will come up with 5 new questions and a tiebreaker for next show, and we'll do this again because obviously we said all the wrong answers. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave some comments above us about how terrible these guys are at Pokemon Trivia, and until next time, cheers.
Cheers.